sitting, coming onto the floor, just letting yourself settle into your body, into the practice, into this hour. Last week I shared a poem that had some words in it that said the trees were singing summer, and I have held on to, especially in this colder weather, I have held on to those words all week. This trees singing summer. And it is it's not a coincidence that during the summer we are so much more open, we are so much more alive. I mean, we have the sun, but all around us is the energy of life, of really just drinking it in. And I find that although many people do not do a summer practice, because there are so many other practices that are around, biking, hiking, and doing all of that other stuff, I found the summer practice always so engaging and so different from the winter practice that, it's the trees singing summer. Like my body sings summer. It just sings summer. It just wants to explode. And this is such a wonderful way of not only expressing that, but feeling it. And every summer, I mean, I've been doing yoga practice for over about 20 years now. Every summer it's different. It's not like it is the same. I can always go deeper and deeper. So let's just find that inner landscape, index finger and thumb together in Chi Mudra. And let your body this morning sing summer. Let it just feel the way that the summer is moving through your body. Take a nice deep breath and bring it down into the belly. When that helps us ground the energy, it also helps the mind to become focused in with the body. And the breath always has the ability to be able to combine and to have everything come into one place. Letting the breath move deeper and longer into the belly. And already begin to feel that singing of summer into this breath. Be grateful that you're alive to be able to really experience this in a body that is designed to give you feedback and sensations of being on this earth. Sound, smell, color, hearing, touch. And to bring the breath into the belly, then let it rise all the way up to the lungs, and then from there all the way up to the base of the neck. And you want to hold at the very top of the inhale. Just create a little space, a pause for you to just sit in, to just allow yourself to pause into, and then exhale out from the throat, down into the lungs, and then again into the belly. Feel the beauty of this breath filling your body. And the gift of the prana, this life-giving force. See if you can find the alignment of the sits bones onto the floor, lifting up through the spine with your head just balanced on top of your spine and neck so that it's not pulling you forward or back, that your shoulders are right over your hips, that the head of the arm bone are not pulling you forward. And in that long alignment, bring your belly in towards the spine so you actually feel like your front body is being supported by the back and the back body is supporting your front. And your spine is able to lift into this summer song. And then in that big and wide open space, let your chin come down to the chest as you breathe into the opening of the neck and the upper part of the back. Just acknowledging any tension that may be there, knowing that the breath will just begin to release any tension. Let your mind settle into the peace of the breath, the peace of being. And then release your hands from your thighs and bring them to the floor on either side of your hips. And then on the inhale, lift your arms and lift your gaze at the seated sun breath. Turn the palms and exhale with your fingertips down and chin to the chest. Take your time and use the breath, fullness of your breath. Inhale all the way up. Turn the palms and exhale. Chin down to the chest. Time the breath and the movement. Inhale, arms all the way up. Turn the palms and exhale. And last time, palms roll all the way up. Hands go to prayer over your head. This is Anjali Mudra. And then down to your heart centers. You bring that summer song right into your heart. This is the time, middle of July. We are in it. Breathing in. Finding that deeper center. So needed at this time when we're still in our COVID times. Our heart may need something else now that it may not have needed before. Just kind of be aware of that. And then opening up your eyes and releasing your hands. Good, then come all the way up to a standing pose. Let your feet be mat width apart or a little bit wider, hands onto your hips. So you're just gonna rotate the hips all the way around. We're gonna work a lot with the shoulders today. Shoulders I find are really, really hard to move, to get to. It's opening up your heart. There's a lot of trust that is connected to that. So let's begin by just letting the hips feel an opening. And then rotate in the opposite direction. And also be aware of your feet. Be aware of how your feet are connecting onto the earth. And as you're moving your hips all the way around, how your weight shifts on your feet. And then bring your feet together and underneath your hips. You want your knees to be right over the ankles. We're just going to bend the knees slightly and then up. Keep your hands on your hips. Just let the energy be right there. Knees to ankle. Good. Just a little bit. And just kind of feel how your Achilles tendon in the back may be feeling. Are you a little tight? Calf muscles a little tight. Just kind of notice that. And then shake your arms out, take the head of the arm bone up toward the ear and back and begin to rotate head of the arm bone up and around with a nice deep breath. You want to breathe right into your heart center. Good. And then go from the back to the front. Good. And then let the arms come to stillness. Let the arms sweep all the way up. You're going to exhale and fold. Shins forward, thighs back, head down towards the floor. Inhale, halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale and fold. Here, bend your knees generously. Arms are going to swing out to the side as we inhale all the way back up into a standing Tadasana. Exhale and fold. Shins forward, thighs back, head down, arms swing out to the side as we inhale all the way up as we sing our summer song. Exhale and fold. Shins forward, thighs back. Inhale, halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Now, begin to allow your head to extend straight, your hips back. Everyone bend your knees generously. Take the top of the thighs back as you stretch your head in front, in the opposite direction. Then take all that energy, exhale. exhale and fold, and you may find a little deeper bend in that, and then arms swing all the way back up, hands go up over your head, palms clasp, arms up, palms up towards the ceiling, and exhale over to the right, left. Inhale all the way up and then to the right. I'm not mirroring Rose. Inhale up, exhale left. Breathing in, inhale up, exhale right. And inhale up one more time. Exhale left. Hold this for a moment. Take a nice deep breath. You're going to lift your right leg up. Try to find the balance. Hugging into the midline. Good. Release and come all the way back to center. Both feet onto the floor. Exhale right. Left foot lifts slightly. Hug the midline. Hug all the way in. Good. And then release and come all the way back. Let your arms go all the way down and shake that out. Whew. All right, so just kind of shake it, wiggle it out. All right, so head of the arm bone. Often I'm seeing this in class with the head coming slightly forward. You want the head of the arm bone over the shoulders. You see how this is going, the upper part of the back is rounded and it drops your head forward. You stay here for a while and you'll feel headaches all the time. Well, lift up. Head of the arm bone over the hips. See this square connection. Know where you are with your shoulders. Now the head coming forward like this, bring it back. So now we're beginning to find the midline. We want to work the midline today. So as you stand in Tadasana, the mountain pose, close your eyes, palms out. Begin to really see your body objectively, what is going on in your body. Are your shoulders over your hips? Are they rounding forward? Is your tailbone going under, which often happens with that? Just kind of notice. Lift all the way up. Arms are going to go out into a T position. So you're going to notice whether one arm is going down a little higher than the other. That's the advantage of these video business. Go to much of our dismay at some point. I want you to clasp your wrist like you're making a fist. Clasp, hug in, keep the hug in, and then release the energy of your hands. So make a fist, hug in like your back is holding a pencil. Nice deep breath. Now if you find that you need to come out towards a little bit more into a V as opposed to a T to get a little bit more of the movement in the head of the arm bone, then try that. Go where you feel you can create an opening in your body and then release your hands. One more time. Hug, then make a fist, hug in. Good. Begin to feel the hug into that midline, top of the head, all the way down to the feet. And then release and come back. And you're going to feel some heat in your shoulders, so we're going to move the shoulders all the way up and around with a nice deep breath. And then from the back to the front. Good. And then shake that out. So if you have a tie, if you need a tie, if you cannot, I'm going to show it without the tie first. We're clasping. Now here, my head of the arm bone always comes forward. It's just when I'm clasping, it's the seesaw effect, right? Head of the arm bone goes up. I have to manually bring it up and back. And if you cannot do this without a tie, then take a tie. Ties are just there to help us open, and that's what we want to do. So you're going to move the head of the arm bone up and back. I want to show you another thing. Rib cage in. Rib cage goes out. That tucks my tailbone under. Rib cage in. Now I have a different curve. So just notice your own, the way your body is moving. Right foot forward, left foot back. Parvottanasana. Nice deep breath. Your right hip is going back. Your left hip is coming forward. You're going to hold this. Now I want you to think head of the arm bone. As you are coming forward, you've got to keep moving the head of the arm bone up and back. Because if you don't, your shoulders will round going down towards the earth. I don't see everybody, but just notice your tendency. So you may not want to go down as far, but you want to keep the head of the arm bone up and back. Good, good, Paula. And then release and come all the way back up. Nice deep breath. It's a lot of work to hug into that midline. What we were doing, like a little pencil, is between your shoulder blades. Left foot forward, right foot back. Taking a nice deep breath. The goal is to keep this part of your shoulders back. Keep the openness through your pecs, head of the arm bone up and back. So as I'm going down, I begin to feel my hips restriction in the forward fold. And then I have to adjust the head of the arm bone up and back. Head down towards the floor if you can make it there, but think head of the arm bone first. Keep that going. Good, even if you're not going down that far, keep your head extending towards the front, your front. Keep your head going, and then inhale and come all the way back up. Good, nice deep breath. So when we're relying on your shoulders, like in down dog, let's come into the table pose, fingerprints down, back of the palm, knuckles down. Nice deep breath. Curl your toes under. We're going to move into the bowing Vajrasana first, just to open up our shoulders just a little bit more. Notice your tendency to maybe let your collapse a little bit more, to round your back. What is your experience? Fingerprints down back of the palm knuckles. Can you allow your heart to go down a little further? Hips back behind you. Nice deep breath. And without coming forward, turn your toes, lift your knees, and lift all the way up to a downward facing dog. So that helps your body begin to press back, knowing that your back of your thighs pressing back releases your shoulders, which gives you a little bit more room to let your heart go down towards the earth. But then if you're collapsing, you want to lift the head of the arm bone up, rib cage in. Now to do this with a sense of awareness and openness takes time. It takes your mind. Stay with the pose. Come forward into plank. You want to make it so that your hips are not going down and you're putting all the weight in your shoulders. You want to lift your hips up. Fingerprints down back of the palm, knuckles down. Let your forearms hug together. Ankles hug in together. You're hugging that same midline. Then in Chaturanga all the way down towards the floor. Let your toes go down onto the floor. Move the head of the arm bone up toward the ear and back and come into a Bhujangasana. Again, let your head lift up. So you're bringing your chin back slightly. Toes stretch behind you. Nice deep breath as you begin to sing into your heart chakra. Good. Curl the toes under. Let the hips drag you all the way back, all the way back, all the way back to a downward dog. And a nice deep breath. Lift your right leg up. Press your big toe mound away, little toe mound towards your head. Bring your knee into your chest and step it through into a high lunge. Hands onto the top of your knee, right knee. Take the top of the left heel back. Take the top of the left thigh back. Lift up a little bit into the pose, then settle, keeping the thigh back. Settle down into the pose. Hands onto your hips. We want the openness through your torso here. Take the head of the arm bone up toward the ear and back. Add your arms with a nice deep breath. Now I want you to feel like you have a block or a ball between your hands, that the space between your arms is alive and real. So hugging in. Now you're going to rotate around that. Bring your left hand onto the floor. You're still hugging the midline. Right hand onto your hip. Right head of the arm bone up toward the ear and back, and rotate. Now at the same time that you're rotating, take the left heel back a little bit more. Still be conscious of that midline from the top of the head all the way down to the heel inside your foot, your left foot. Release, come all the way back to center, hands on either side of your foot. Press back into downward facing dog. Everybody collapse your heart down towards the earth. And I want you to feel how that is a lot of pressure on your shoulders. Now as you lift the head of the arm bone up a little bit, you're going to find a place where you're kind of sinking in, you're aligning, and then can press your hips back a little bit more. Keep that, that's your stable base. Then take the left leg up, bend into the knee and step it all the way through into a runner stretch. When you're there, bring your hands up onto your hip, high Anjaneyasana. Take your right thigh back. Might need to lift up a little bit to bring the right thigh back, heel back, step it, press back into a deeper stretch on the left side. Nice deep breath. Good. Bring both arms up. Just feel that stretch through your body. Then bring your left hand onto your hip, right hand onto the floor, and rotate. See if you can still keep your right hip up instead of collapsing it down. Keep your right hip up. Rotate around the midline. And breathe. Good. Release. Come all the way back. Step your right up to meet the left. Head down towards the floor. Arms swing out to the side as we inhale all the way up. Hands go to prayer over your head, then down to the heart. Okay, if you have your block, take your block right between your legs and hug the block in. Good. Nice deep breath. Even if you don't have a block, you want to feel that your feet are solid onto the earth, that you're hugging into the block, lifting up through the spine. See if you can catch this alignment, shoulders and hips over one another. You're going to bend into the knee. Take the block a little bit closer to your knees. Bend into the knee, take the top of the thighs back. And just fun, we're going to go into Utkatasana, the horseman's pose. So here, we don't want to round it back here. You want to extend. Get the top of the thighs to press back, belly towards the lower back. And head, instead of down here, lifts. The chin goes back towards the back of your head. Add the arms all the way up. Good, just notice if this is hard for you. And if it is, bring your hands a little bit more towards the floor. Move the head of the arm bone up and back. Then add the arms. Cross the left over the right. Now we're rotating the shoulders. Hips are staying square. Just rotating around that midline. Left hand to knee, knee to hand, rotate. Breathe in. Good. Release, come all the way back to center. Add your arms all the way up. Hands go to prayer over the head. And then down to the heart for a moment. Just breathe in a nice deep breath. Let's move the head of the arm bone up and back. Elizabeth is warm. on this cool day. And then reverse from the back to the front. Find your center again. We're hugging into the midline. Let your hands come out here for a moment. And I want you to feel this area right in between your hands, hugging in. Make it real. Feel the energy between your arms, like you're hugging in to the midline, because we are, right? You want to feel that connection, just like your block is holding the energy between your legs. So take the thighs back, arms reach up. Now if you're not able to move the head of the arm bone up and back, bring your arms out a little bit more, like a V instead of two L's or two I's, a V. Then lift. Nice deep breath. The goal is to begin to really move the head of the arm bone, open the front body, and engage the back body. Take the right onto the left. I'm moving from here to stacked. My knees are staying together. Block is helping me do that. You're rotating around the midline. Breathe in. The midline's got to be real to you. See that hugging in. And then release, come all the way back. Come back into a standing pose. And a nice deep breath. So you're going to take the block, bring it down towards your feet. And I'm going to move myself to here. So you're hugging again into the midline. Arms are going to reach all the way up. We're going to exhale and fold. Hands onto the floor. So press your fingerprints down, back of the palm knuckles down, keeping the block, hugging it in. You're going to step your feet back to a plank. Hug in. So now we have a block holding us. Arms are also hugging in. Nice deep breath. Good. Go back into downward facing dog. Bend into your knees. Keep the block between your legs and hop forward into Uttanasana. Head down towards the floor. Arms swing out to the side as we inhale all the way up. Hands go to prayer over the head. And then down towards the heart. Okay. Bring the block onto the side. So we're going to let our arms, we're going to stand in Tadasana, arms out into a T position. You're crossing your left, your right on top of your left, elbow on top of elbow. Bring your forearms up. Hold on to the palms of your hands. Now this is very restrictive here, and I'm rounding. So I want to take, even if it's a millimeter, head of the arm bone up and back. So now I'm also engaging the back body. Inhale up, Gardhyasana arms, exhale down. Inhale up, and exhale down. Good, inhale up. With every breath, and exhale down, feel the way your arms are hugging in towards one another. This is a very important lesson in your body. Just letting the body feel that center hug in. And down one more time. Inhale up and exhale down. So as you release, this is a bound pose. So as you release, you're bound to feel energy and blood moving through. That's part of it. So just shake it out. Or just feel our blood flowing. We're restricting it a little bit to feel that explosion of that summer song. So now arms are out into a T position again. You're crossing, this time your left on top. The experience is never the same, palms up. Hug in together. You can hold on to your wrist, hold on to the thumbs, whatever works. Inhale up and exhale down. Use your breath. Inhale up and exhale down. And as you're in this position, notice on you. What is tight? What is opening? What feels as if it is holding? Just breathe into it. Where can we find a little more opening in this bound pose? And inhale up and exhale, release. One more time. Inhale up and exhale, release. Release your hands. Again, you're going to feel that flood of energy. Then move the head of the arm bone up toward the ear and back. Good. And then from the back to the front. All right, come all the way onto the floor. Fingerprints down, back of the palm, knuckles down. You're going to leave your left hand onto the floor. You're going to turn so that your torso is along the long side of the mat. Your right leg is straight. And we're going to add the right arm up over your head. So we're in a form of gate with a nice deep breath. Now we're still, can you feel the energy between your arm and the floor? Can you feel that strong midline? Lift your leg, your right leg up. So you're creating this midline from the inside of your foot to the inside of your arm, your hand, right hand. Nice deep breath. Breathe in. For those that may want to go a little further, you can take your hand to the top of your right foot, right hand, right foot. Create a quad stretch. Taking your knee away from your head and your head away from your knee. Moving the right head of the arm bone up and back. And then from here, come back to the gate. Lifted leg. Good. And release. Bring both hands onto the floor. Come back into the table pose. Fingerprints down, back of the palm, knuckles down. Lift all the way up to downward facing dog. And a nice deep breath. So one side is going to feel a little different from the other. Just notice the switching sides. Good. And now you're going to come back into the table pose, right hand onto the floor. Rotate your torso. So you're along the long side of the mat. And create a form of gate. Lift the left leg up. Left arm overhead. Fingers are reaching in the opposite direction. Now think big toe mound. That's holding your midline. Think inside of the leg to inside your hand. And breathe. A nice deep breath. For those who wish to take it a little further, you're going to bend. Take your hand to the shoelace part of your foot. Before you do the stretch, move the left head of the arm bone up toward the ear and back. Let your knee press back behind you and away from your head. Take your rib cage in, just opening the upper part of your back a little more. And breathe. Good. From here, stretch back to the gate with your left leg reaching. Big toe mound active. Little toe mound coming around to the inside. Press the big toe mound away. Good. Release. Come all the way back to the table pose. Curl the toes under. Come back into downward facing dog. Taking a nice deep breath. Fingerprints down, back of the palm, knuckles down. Good. And then release, come all the way back. Come into a seated pose. Woo! And just allow yourself to close your eyes and just feel that energy. Allow for the summer song to be coming through and then begin to recognize how your energy has changed from when we started the class. I'm not sure that everyone has blocks, so I'm going to show this without blocks. But if you have blocks, you would need 2 blocks here. I'm going to show it without blocks. You're going to come into the table pose. Let your knees go out to the side, toes together. And we're going to bring our forearms, elbows onto the floor. Lift the arms up. Hands come to prayer. And you're going to let your elbows go away from you as much as possible, bringing your hands that are in prayer over your head. Now, as I'm doing this, my rib cage goes way down towards the earth, and I want to take the bottom tips of my rib cage up to extend through the lower part of your back. Just notice that. This is so important. Bottom rib cage up, take the top of the thighs back, breathe into that opening. And if you can, just let your heart settle down a little bit, then bring the rib cage up so it's a little bit of a dance, spanda, just allowing for a pulsation through your body. Keeping the head of the arm bone up and back, playing with the breath. And this is very subtle, but it's so opening, and it's good in this particular kind of a pose because there is not a lot of pressure on your pose, but you're able to move these very small movements. Rib cage in, lower back stretches. Then let your heart settle, rib cage in, lower back stretches. Just notice that. And breathe into that opening. Good. Good. And then come all the way back to center. Good. Come back up, come back into a seated pose, and take a nice deep breath. So we're going to move to Vasisthasana and begin to put together some of the things that we've been putting in this class. So when we are, Vasisthasana is a side stretch. So you're going to come into a table pose, curl the toes under, stretch all the way up to the downward facing dog. Without changing anything, you're going to turn so that you're stacking one foot on top of the other, and your arm is not underneath the head of the arm bone. Your hands are further out. You're going to move the head of the arm bone up toward the ear and back. Taking a nice deep breath. Get your head in line with your spine. Good. Let your hips lift up. Hands on the floor, foot on the floor, hips lift. Instead of coming down here, lift up. I'm going to add the arm up as well. So right arm reaches up. Let your right arm reach over your head so it's towards the wall. Breathing into this summer song. Good. If this is not available for you, you're going to take your right foot onto the floor, but do the same action of lifting the hips, pressing into the floor, and your hand. Breathing in. Good. Release. Right hand onto the floor. Come back to downward dog. And then come all the way into a table pose. Let your knees go out to the side, toes together. Come back so that you can feel your heart opening. Elbows onto the floor. Hands in prayer over your head. And breathe. Vasisthasana. Breathing in. So for Vasisthasana, the head of the arm bone up and back in alignment makes all the difference, hugging into that midline. So you can really feel when you're in a position to be a little challenged, that you have your mind able to stay with the challenge. Good. Inhale and come all the way back up. Good. Nice deep breath. So we're going to come into, I'm just turning here, we're going to come back into downward facing dog. Make sure your right hand, your hands are not over your shoulders, not over the head of the arm bone. You're rotating onto the side. Now if you know that this is not for you, you're going to take your left foot, bring it in front. This is prep 1. But if you know you've got it, stack your feet one on top of the other, hug into the midline like you have a block between your head, your ankles, fingerprints down back of the palm knuckles, left hand reaches up and then over your head. So you're really feeling the summer song with a nice deep breath. You're in alignment, even with your foot in front, ankle, hips, shoulders, head back. Good. Bringing your foot onto the floor if that is where you are. Then turn, come back to downward facing dog. Breathing in, come into the table pose, knees out, toes together, roll back to the extended child. Take your elbows onto the floor, hands back into prayer. Bring your hands in prayer over your head so it's going towards your neck, and breathe. A nice deep breath. Good. And then release and come all the way back. Come back up into a standing pose. We're just going to do a few standing poses. Move the arm bone up toward the ear and back. Going to tiptoe on your right, stand on your left. You're lifting your knee up. We're not going too far. You're lifting your knee up, taking your left hand to the middle of your knee. Hold on, I'm going to find my balance. Press your knee into your hand, hand into the knee. Good. Then bring your hands back to your hips. Let your foot stretch out in front of you. You're still hugging into this midline. Take strength. Good. Release. Come all the way back and just shake it out. Stand in Tadasana for a moment. Hands in open. Breathe. A nice deep breath. Can you still feel that center line? We're pushing that center line today. It's kind of hugging into that midline. Nice deep breath. And then open your eyes. You're going to tiptoe on the left this time. Right leg, you're going to lift up. Press knee to hand, hand to knee. Just to get that hug in. And then come back. Let your leg go straight out. Like you're hugging in to that same midline. And then release. And come all the way back and shake it out. All right, come all the way onto the floor. Hugging midline doesn't stop even though we're on the floor. Inner spiral. You're going to bring your left knee out to the side. Bring your left foot up so that it's hitting your right. Lift all the way up. Notice shoulders are over your hips. You're in that square box. We're going to take this whole square box forward. Janu-Sirsasana. Now you can walk your hands down. See if you have a tendency to round to get there. See if you can stay upright. Stabilize your hips down to the floor. Engage your belly, lower back belly working together. Walk forward. Doesn't matter how far you go. Go to your edge, whatever that is. And breathe in. A nice deep breath. Good. Inhale, come all the way back up, straighten up your spine. Take your left arm, cross the left arm over onto the right knee. Hug hand to knee, knee to hand. So you're, again, hugging into the midline, lift all the way up, rotate the torso. And breathe. So now our shoulders are in an opposite direction from our hips. Our hips are going this way, and we're stacking the shoulders across. You might feel your back just kind of opening up a little bit. Nice deep breath. You're going to lift your right arm up. So you're going to keep your shoulders right where they are, but you're going to stretch your fingers towards your left knee. Breathing in. A deep summer stretch. And then inhale, come all the way back up. Square your hips and your shoulders again. Walk forward. See if you can go a little bit further in a forward fold, coming towards your head towards your toes. Breathing in. And then inhale and come all the way back up. Good. Come back to Dandasana, inner spiral. We're going to bring the right foot out this time, hitting the left. Right foot is onto the left. You're going to inhale all the way up. We're going to walk forward. Notice your tendency to round. When we're rounding, it's harder to get the energy of your core working. So you want to open here, engage your core, and let your core engaged help you come forward. It's going to ground your hips. It's going to help you lift your spine up, and also gives you the strength to stretch your quads a little, your hamstrings a little bit more. So, even though you want to come forward, keep yourself from rounding. Stay upright. Keep the stretch right at the hip crease, not in the upper part of your back. You want to get to the hardest part to open, and open here as well. Good. Inhale and come all the way back up. Right arm reaches this time. Right arm crosses over. I'm halfway in the twist. Inhale all the way up. Again, stack your shoulders across from one another. They're in the opposite direction of your hips. Rotate. Nice deep breath. To go a little deeper here, we're lifting our left arm up, stretching the fingers towards the right knee. As you are grounding your left hip down, use your core, stretch. Breathe in. Any opening, anything of connection that you feel in your body as you're doing this practice is your awakening. So be grateful for that. Inhale, come all the way back up. Let your fingers do the walking. Let them go down your leg. Notice a tendency to round. Keep everything open and come forward with a flat back, engaging your belly. So we're just altering our normal patterns. And that's how we begin to really push our own envelope, to really find our way into a new place of being in our bodies. So come all the way back up, Baddha Konasana, feet together, hugging into the midline again. Here we go. Just notice if you can get a little deeper into the sits bones being onto the floor by doing an inner spiral, taking the inside of the thighs down, rotating them down. Inhale up and exhale forward. Inhale up and exhale forward. Good. Inhale up. Now you're engaging your core. Good. And exhale forward. When you engage your core, your whole spine begins to open and expand. and exhale forward. Inhale up and exhale forward. Good. Come all the way back to a seated pose. You're going to let your knees, your feet go mat width apart. You're going to move the head of the arm bone up toward the ear and back. So we're not here, we're here, lifting up. Then your knees are going to go from side to side. Taking a nice deep breath. Inhale and exhale. Good. The next time that you're on the right side, we're going to come all the way onto the right side in this Z pose. Lift all the way up and elongate through the spine. Then rotate and let your elbows come onto the floor. At the same time here, you're going to take the left knee back behind you a little bit more. Breathing in, rotating a little more into the twist. Again, forearms are down, hands are in prayer. Breathing in. And then release and come all the way back up to center. Once again, resetting the start with feet mat width apart, hands, I have fingers going towards my hips. Move the head of the arm bone up toward the ear and back, and you're going to move your knees as one unit from side to side. And just kind of notice which hip may have a little bit more of a restriction, where you are. Breathing in. Good. Then on the left side, you're going to come all the way left. Legs are in a Z. Inhale up, always. Lengthen first, then twist. Come all the way onto the floor. Breathing in. You stay here long enough to feel where you can breathe a little more deeply into the twist. Bring your breath to any spot that might actually feel like a restriction. We want to bring that summer song everywhere. You sing the summer song, you have that summer song for the winter practice, which is a very different practice. Let's bring the summer song to the winter practice. And then inhale and come all the way back up. So we're going to come back into a seated pose and then allow yourself to come all the way onto the floor, onto your back. And here we're just going to bring the knees into your chest, and you're going to rotate the knees in one direction and then the other. Your body may be calling for something like a happy baby, where you're bending your knees, holding onto the outside of your feet, bringing your knees down towards the earth. Pressing down and then straightening, and then back to pressing down, happy baby, and Supta Upavista Konasana. There we go. And then allow yourself to come all the way onto the floor. If you want to challenge, get your arms to the side, let your feet slowly in water wheel come all the way down. Now talk about hugging into the midline. I'm hugging in like crazy all the way onto the floor. And then move right into Shavasana. Taking a nice deep breath. Allowing yourself to just feel this summer practice through your body. And I encourage you to breathe in the blessings of the life in summer that surrounds us, and bring it into those places of your body that have been opened. The more we feel connected to the earth, the more we recognize that we are part of the earth and the earth is part of us, the more we can take in, the more beauty we can take in, the more we can absorb and then express out in our own unique way. Inviting this summer song A distant pine chorus calls this morning in the ways trees vocalize with loud voices, singing summer. I remember hearing these songs in deep forests and high in the mountains, and how the absence of these songs were so clear above tree line. Allow small movements to come back into your fingers and back into your toes. Let your knees float up into your chest and hug them in, gently rocking from side to side. And then roll to one side as you pause for a moment and breathe into your own inner landscape. Make that a nice summer landscape. And then continue the side roll all the way up to a seated pose. Bringing your hands to prayer position at your heart center. And together, we will do one Om. So take a breath in. Om. May we have peace in our heart and peace in our mind and true and everlasting peace on this planet. Namaste. Thank you all for joining. Thank you. Mike isn't here, so I'm going to unmute everybody. Hold on. Oh, Micah just came. All right.